these events in the Shark Tank. I feel like I'm seeing deja vu, Groundhog Day, the whole lot. I mean, I started covering Sharks rugby. Ian McIntosh was the coach way back in 1996. I saw his assistant, Hugh Edwards, come and go after just one season. I've seen Kevin Putt come and go. Difficult times for the Sharks when he was there. Succeeded by Rudolf Stroili, came, initially did well, then he went off to the Springboks and things went a bit pear-shaped. I've seen John Plumtree come for his first tenure, only to be unceremoniously sacked by John Smith at the end of the 2012 season. Jake White has come, Gary Gold has come, Robert Dupree, he had mixed results. Brendan Fenter had a centre there, a tenure there, I mean, and then of course John Plumtree came again. And now it looks like he is going, but under like quite strange circumstances, folks. I don't know what you think, but I find it extremely curious that the Sharks have announced that John Plumtree is to leave at the end of the season, but the season's only just started. I mean, normally when a rugby coach gets shown the door, so to speak, I mean, he clears his desk and is gone. I mean, ask Jake White, it just happened to him at the Bulls just a short period ago. That's what happened. Sean Everett, he's another one that came and I mean, he was fired in like sort of quite emotional circumstances. John Plumtree's predecessor now. I mean, they had a big home loss to a Welsh side, and I mean, Edward Coetzee came down and I wouldn't say hijacked the press conference, but certainly, well, I guess he did really. He said, "Oh, I want to speak first," and he said, "Well, that performance wasn't good enough and there'll be changes." And I understand that that was the Saturday. On the Monday, Edward personally escorted Sean from the building. Yeah, so I mean, the Shark Tank has seen blood in the water on many occasions. But back to John Plumtree now. So the Sharks announced that he's to go at the end of the season, but they're only 5 matches in. I mean, there's 18 matches in the URC. There's European Cup games. So I mean, John could be in charge until June. That's quite a lot. That's like 8 months. I've never seen a precedent there's no precedent. So curious as to how this is all going to pan out. I mean, I know John Plumtree well. And he's a very resilient New Zealander, a very tough guy, a very experienced coach. I know he'll be feeling a little bit aggrieved at the way he's been treated again. He came in a couple of years ago, and Neil Pell had been the sort of caretaker coach. He was the director of rugby then. He just come from the Blitzboks. And then he found himself seconded into actually coaching the team. They went fairly well, but John Plumtree, when he came in, I mean, he just felt that there was no team culture there at the Sharks. He felt that the player roster was not good at all. And that first season of his was a very difficult one. I mean, they battled to win a game as Plum tried to get the players to play the way he wanted them to, and how he wanted the team culture to develop. And he eventually got that right. And I mean, last season they were semi-finalists, and then they won the Challenge Cup. So then we get to this season, and they've had that slow start again. And I just want to put things into perspective, folks. I mean, there's an old chestnut that the Sharks have got too many Springboks, and it's an old chestnut for a reason, because it's absolutely spot on. I mean, the Rugby Championship was on, and there were 12, 13, 14 of the Sharks as players involved in the Rugby Championship. Plumtree was doing his URC training pre-season training down at Kings Park. He had like 8, 9 players. I mean, he also had quite a heavy injury list as well of URC players. I mean, there was more assistant coaches and coaching and management staff there than there were players. So I mean, how are you going to hit the ground running in the URC when you effectively had no team pre-season? So, and then you've got this thing of the Springboks coming in en masse, fresh from the rugby championship. Do they really want to be there? Are they properly motivated? Are they going to have they been assimilated into the Sharks sort of culture again? Enough. And the answer is no. I mean, we saw when they all came back, it was a very disjointed Sharks performance. So it's really difficult for whoever's going to coach the Sharks when you've got a mass of Springbok players coming in. They're there for a couple of games and then they're gone again. Then they're back for a while, and then there's some of them have got to rest according to Springbok protocols. So the whole root of the Sharks' problem is that they got their recruitment badly wrong a couple of years ago. And what happens is when the Springboks go, the players that now step into their places haven't been good enough. The gap between the Springbok players and then the next in line is too wide. Look, they have been addressing that. They've picked up their fault, and for the last 2 seasons or so, they've been concentrating heavily now on rectifying that imbalance by bringing players in, recruiting players rather at age group levels and letting them come through their academy systems. I mean, their under-21s won the recent under-21 competition convincingly. They got strong under-19s. But it's kind of too late now for Plumtree, because those players in a couple of years' time will be perfect for whoever's the head coach. But at the moment, for Plumtree, when the Springboks aren't there, his next in line are not, in general, there are some good ones, but in general, there's too much of a gulf in class between the number ones in the positions, which is Springboks when they're there, and then the next in line, and the next in line after him. Because if they pick up injuries, and they have been doing that. Last season they had 16 players injured, and then you kind of had to bring in guys who are just not up to it. So, okay, what's going to happen at the Sharks now? They've said that Plumtree will see out the season in 8 months. There will be a head coach, so they'll be looking for one. They say they're bringing in a consultant to be part of the new coaching structure. I'm hearing it could be Brendan Fenter, the ubiquitous Brendan Fenter, who's the Mr. Fix-It for teams in crisis, or he pops up all over the world. He is a very wise, intelligent, experienced coach. Maybe it will be him. This is just a whisper or two I hear, but it might not come to pass. Of course, Neil Pell as well has stepped down from director of rugby. I think it was a position that wasn't properly suited to him. I think it was a good idea. This guy who was the Blitzboks genius. Obviously the Blitzboks must have had these great structures and so on, and it sounded like a good plan to bring Neil Pell in as to head up the Sharks, but it hasn't really worked out. And look, so he effectively has been demoted from that position. He'll work in other areas in the Sharks. In their release, they said he would be involved in some of the junior teams, and also with recruitment and planning and budgeting and so on. But the thing I like most about their press release is that they said that they're not just going to look at what happened, with the coaching staff. The word they said is there's going to be a multifaceted spring cleaning of all the departments at the Sharks, and that means all their administration, at all the various different levels. Kings Park have a lot of employees, there's a lot of departments. So kind of like everyone's under the spotlight there at the Shark Tank. And I think that is a good thing. The New York owner, Marco Mazzotti, has told me he wants a forensic spring clean of the place, cut out any dead wood, bring in new and fresh blood in various areas of the business. Because he says, look, the results are just not good enough. The team's not growing. And of course, it's always easy for the coach to get it in the neck. But and that's just so unfair, because it's almost like Plumtree's been set up to fail, because the business has been flawed. There've been so many areas where the Sharks are just there's no synergy. There seems to be disconnects between recruitment and what the coach wants. I mean, we had Bartu Hlakani slip through their fingers. Plumtree found out that after the fact. So it's almost like he's not been part of the planning with the recruitment in some areas. So all of that has got to change to give whoever's the incoming head coach in 8 months' time a better chance of success, because John Plumtree, I don't think had the support that he should have had. Look, and I mean, I also know that Plum has batted defiantly for his assistants. Some of the assistants, to me, I don't know. I don't think they are contributing there as they should. So I think John Plumtree took one for the team there. So where do they go from here? Well, they've got this month's break while the Springboks play, and then John Plumtree rocks up for work. Well, I mean, obviously they'll be training a bit before then, but I mean, then they've got a really tough stretch ahead of them. They've got Connacht away, and they'll be under strength because the Springboks, that game in fact coincides with the Springboks' last game against Wales and Cardiff, and then they've got Toulouse away in the Champions Cup. Man, it just gets harder. But I just want to end off by saying there's a lot of water to go under the bridge still for the Sharks this season. I wouldn't be surprised if John Plumtree proves people wrong. He's a highly experienced, resilient coach, as I said earlier. I'm certain that he is going to want to go out with a bang and maybe change a few people's ideas.